Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Anna Stashkina and today we are going to make this wafer paper pinecones. And I'll show you how to color wafer paper, how to create all these shapes and how to make center using foil. And I'll explain how to make out of styrofoam. And also I will show you how to make your wafer paper pine cones or flower center using just wafer paper so you can make it edible. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and let's begin. I crumple my foil to a cone shape. Then I'm going to take a 20 gauge wire and one piece of 26 gauge wire. And I will need a piece of floral tape. First thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a hole in the bottom of my foil, insert my 20 gauge wire. I'm going to insert my 26 gauge wire. I'm going to bring these parts down and make sure to fix it together. And then to make it even more secured, I'm going to cover the stem using floral tape. Next step, what we are going to do is we need to cover this in wafer paper. Today I'm using Saracino wafer paper. It's 0.27 millimeters, but you can use any wafer paper you like if it's premium or about from 0.22 to 0.25 millimeters. I'll cut a few strips of wafer paper. And I'm going to take my wafer paper glue, and if you download your class materials, you will get all the recipes for wafer paper glue and everything. But basically, this is just a mixture of wafer paper and water. Because wafer paper don't want to stick to foil, we need to cover our center in wafer paper. So I'm applying just a little bit of glue to make my wafer paper softer. Cover this on all sides. Make sure that your wafer paper is stuck to your center. So that is my pinecone center, and I'll show you another way to do this if you do not want to use any inedible materials. You know that I'm a big advocate for using just edible materials. I will use water. I'm going to take my wafer paper scraps and I will take another piece of 20 gauge wire, make a relatively large hook, maybe something like this, and I'll take another piece of floral tape to create my hook and to cover it in florist tape. And I'm going to go downwards, like backwards, so I'm starting on my stem and then covering this part in floral tape, just to create something for my wafer paper to stick to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few scraps, maybe like this, just a few wafer paper scraps, and I'm going to gently spray them with water. This is regular water to make them soft and maybe a little bit sticky. Then I will put a few more pieces on top, and then I can start attaching this onto my wire like this. So now I have my first layer of wafer paper and my center made entirely out of wafer paper. I will take another piece of wafer paper the same way, spray with water until it becomes sticky but not yet melting. And you can shape and you can create your pine cone without using any foil or styrofoam. And even for the stem you can use a rice noodle or toothpick, so you can totally make your wafer paper cones or your wafer paper centers for your flower without using any wire or inedible materials. And before using you need to let it dry. I would say a few hours, depends on your size. So if your wafer paper cone is relatively thick, I would leave it to dry overnight. First thing we need to make our pine cones is our pine seeds or these parts of a pine, and I'm going to use brown gel color, and I'm going to dilute this brown gel color with my AC Tonic mixture. This is a glycerin based wafer paper conditioner that is a part of your class materials as well. Paint my wafer paper cone. This is foil covered in wafer paper. I did it yesterday, so it's a little bit dry and easier to work with. And I'm going to paint this in a darker brown color because I don't want any white wafer paper showing parts of my pine cone. And it will make it sticky, but I will put it aside to dry. Next step, what I need to do is cut a few strips of wafer paper, about 2 inch by 6 inch. I have about 2 inch by 4 inch, but not a big deal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my wafer paper on one side using this mixture of gel color and my wafer paper conditioner. And I'm not trying to get an even color, I'm still trying to have this differences and like all different shades of brown, darker brown. So some of these parts are going to be dark and some will be light. And I would recommend you to leave it to dry for a few moments because it will make it easier to color. And then what we are going to do, we'll start to work on our wafer paper cones. So we are going to cut, shape and assemble at the same time. So I need to soften and color my wafer paper at the same time. So I will apply more mixture on the back side. I'll put it aside to dry for a moment and I will paint another piece. Like that. So I have 2 pieces of wafer paper here prepared, and I'll take a pair of scissors and I will cut strips roughly about 1/4 of an inch up to 1/2 of an inch. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece of wafer paper, hold it like this, fold left 90 degrees and then fold again. So I created this sort of loop thingy, and I will continue doing this to all my pieces of wafer paper, and then I will start attaching them to my wafer paper cone. And because this wafer paper is soft and we just painted, it is relatively sticky and easy to attach to your pine cone. And if your wafer paper is too sticky or hard to manage, use just a touch of cornstarch with your fluffy brush. Few more steps to finish my first row. And you can see that it forms a pine cone already. So I love making a lot of wedding flowers, and that's how I actually started with wafer paper, because I was making cakes and I needed to deliver them, and sugar flowers are so fragile and it takes forever to make a flower using gum paste, and wafer paper is much faster. So I was testing different recipes for rice paste, like flexible paste, because I wanted my flowers to be flexible and I didn't want it to stress about deliveries and everything, like how brittle and fragile sugar flowers are. So that's how I discovered wafer paper that is actually edible and you can make a lot of things out of wafer paper. I hope you learned something interesting today. Let's see where our last one wants to go. Right here. So here's my pine cone. It is made out of wafer paper, and you can see how easy it is to make this and to shape them, and they stay soft for a long period of time. Thank you so much for joining me for today's demonstration. Now you know how to make this wafer paper pine cones, and I hope you can implement them in your flower arrangement or Christmas arrangement. It's December, it's a holiday time. Thank you again for joining me. See you next week, same time, same place.